Transformation, yeah, we got it. Discuss your breakthroughs, national issues. Our local Bahamians also with those who are listening around the region and the world this afternoon. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have an audience that really from Europe to the United States, Canada, around the region, and of course, Bahamians right here who are very interested in just wanting to know the answers and ask the questions that get them the answers that they seek. Before we
need a little inspiration, tune into the conversation. Talk about it on the conversation.
This is the time, Shanique, when the country really needs to find ways to join together to fight common problems that we have. Collaborative leadership.
You need a little conversation. We can go far with the conversation. Here with Shanique on the conversation, yeah.
Please share the video, share. Tag some people in the live feed, share it in your private Facebook group, share it in your WhatsApp group.
Here with Shanique on the conversation, yeah.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the conversation on this Wednesday. Man, a lot is going on the show today. Welcome to all of you. It's good to have you all streaming already. Hey, as you come in, a big good afternoon. Welcome to today's show. We are going to talk about some very trending topics and what's in the news right now. Several big stories, actually, particularly one that's having international attention. A number of people are paying attention to that. And we're going to talk about that as well. And also, the Commissioner of Police made some strong statements on Monday during the annual Meet the Press news conference. And it's something that he said he's getting a lot of heat for. We're going to talk about that in this all-male panel that is here this afternoon as we talk about State of the Nation 2. We started this conversation last week, and this week we're going to continue that and talk about and take a look at what's happening around the country, as particularly in an election cycle. You know, of course, 2022, next year, we head to the polls. And so a number of people are weighing in about where they desire to see the country go, where the country now stands or sits, and what's necessary for the future. And so we're going to get really, really in there today and hear the views of men. And of course, I'll ask them about some big trending topics that many of you are paying attention to. Many of you are upset and disturbed by. It's made headlines really since Monday. And so we certainly, of course, will continue, we'll get their views. And I'm happy that it's all men today to really get their views on some stuff. So welcome to the conversation. It's great to have you all streaming live today. Do come in, share the video. Good afternoon to everybody who is already streaming. Thank you, Karen. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to everybody. Good afternoon to you, Shay, Thalia, Soya. Hello, Dion Barr. Thank you. And big hello to everybody else who also didn't say hello, but good afternoon to you. Betsy Claire, thank you very, very much. Xavier Monroe, good afternoon, and blessings to you as well. As you come in, share the live stream. We're going to jump right in because we also have, this is a mixed bag today. At 5 o'clock, we have the Cleveland Clinic. You guys know Cleveland Clinic. It's no stranger to many Bahamians. Cleveland Clinic is putting on a free webinar, Healthy Habits. We know it's more important now than ever that we all adopt those habits, not just for now, not just for New Year's resolution, really, but to continue on, boosting our immune systems and to make health intentional. So we have a good, big show for you today. Come in, share the live feed, have your say, because I want to hear from many of you as we continue to kind of look at the national issues today. And so welcome to the conversation. I'd like to welcome Bishop Walter Hanchel. Good afternoon, sir. It's great to have you on the show this afternoon. How are you doing? If you can unmute your mic, Bishop Hanchel, we can see you, certainly. We can absolutely see you, but please unmute your mic. Good afternoon to you, Nayoka Hanna, Stephanie McPhee, all the way in Europe, Gano Davis Hebron, good afternoon. As you come in, share the live stream. Good afternoon to you, John Darville.
Good afternoon.
Hello, Shanique. Good afternoon, Bahamas. So good to be here with you again today.
And it's wonderful to see you as well, John. Good afternoon to you in Freeport, Darren Cooper.
Good afternoon, Shanique. Good afternoon to all of your listeners.
And of course, to Glenroy Pratt. Good afternoon to you, Glenroy. It's wonderful seeing you.
Good afternoon, Janique. Good afternoon, Bahamas, and good afternoon to the rest of the panelists.
Absolutely. Listen, let's jump right in. Bishop Hanchel, the fact that you are new to the panel, let's get your views in first. Let's just talk about some stories that are a bit troubling. A lot is being made out of these stories. In particular, comments made by the Commissioner of Police on Monday that is still making headlines today, as we saw the dailies and of course social media. The commissioner said, unfortunately last year we had a number of suicide attempts, a number of men committed suicide, and the commissioner says it's because these are weak men. Of course, he came behind and he kind of tried to explain his comments, saying that the media sort of had the media had, I don't know, the squeeze on him that made him say it that way. But your thoughts on him categorizing men who unfortunately took their lives last year as weak?
Well, Shanique, first of all, let me say that Commissioner Paul Rule is my friend. That's my disclaimer. He's my friend, and I know his heart. I know Paul Rule didn't mean from his heart what came out of his mouth. Yes, he's wrong. Yes, it was a very insensitive comment, and he's taken a lot of flack for that. So I'm not defending him. He said the wrong thing, and people are saying, well, it came out of his heart, because the Bible says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. So yes, he made a mistake, and he did apologize, and my condolences and my regrets go out to all of the families that were affected, and not only the families, but the wider community. That's a big blow. That was a big blow, and everybody's talking about it. It may have been a bit insensitive, but nevertheless, Mr. Rule manned up, and the commissioner manned up to to his mistake. And the Bahamian people is also a forgiving people, so they will forgive him, and we will get over this. I feel it too. My daughter, who is a psychologist, yes, she was very hurt with those remarks. Very hurt.
A number of people in the mental health field were extremely upset about it. And as you said, yes, your daughter was hurt. I know your daughter, Dr. Tamalia, I forgot her new marriage name now. But the point is, a number of people in the mental health industry thought it was insulting, insensitive, and a comment not well thought out.
Yes, yes, it was a blooper. And I guess only time will resolve that. But I know his heart. I can guarantee you, Commissioner Rule did not mean it the way it came off. I know he said it, but he didn't mean it like that. I can tell you that. I know the man. I know his heart, and I believe that he feels different about that. He doesn't feel the way he expressed it.
Darren, your thoughts. Bishop Hanchel is very forgiving. He says, listen, he knows the heart of the man. The man didn't mean it the way it came out. And he apologized. We will all get beyond this and through this. Your thoughts on those comments he made on Monday with regards to men and suicide?
Shanique, I believe the good bishop do what he do best, and the bishops are always forgiven, and they see beyond our faults. They're like Jesus. But I believe I'll use this scripture, Bishop, and you can correct me if I'm in error. But the Bible says, "Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks," and that was what was in his heart. It is very insensitive that he would make such a comment like that, because he who feels it knows it best. And we're not. We don't know exactly what these men are going through. They are under plenty pressure. They have plenty responsibilities, and the list of things goes on. And so I do forgive him for his comments, but I joined the bandwagon of calling it, one, reckless, and two, he spoke what he felt and what he believed, what his views of those suicidals were. Weak men. And so the pressure of life, there's something that's on the streets, they call it the pressure tall. And that's what a lot of men are being faced with. as we continue to look at the loss of jobs, families are not, our males are not being able to provide in the way that they're normally accustomed to. And so the list of things can go on. And so that's my view of it, and that's my position.
John, your thoughts about it. Darren said, listen, no. At a time like this, it's quite insensitive. Yes, he apologized, but it's very much insensitive. Do you think men who have resorted to and were successful in their attempts, and even those who attempted, are weak because of, as he said, domestic issues? Is that what make them weak? Or these were people who truly just combined with everything last year and even continuing? I mean, you know, many people still suffer for lack of jobs or income, or not the level of income they're used to certainly bringing in. And as Darren said, you know, the popular saying now in the Bahamas, pressure it all.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, Shanique, let me say that I have the greatest degree of respect for the Honorable Commissioner of Police. I find him to be quite socially conscious individual, and you know, I would perhaps chop it up to being not really what you say, but how you say it, perhaps. And in this regard, it being interpreted perhaps or what it's not intended to mean. But I would say this. I would say, Shanique, that this has now brought to light a major issue that we have in this country, the sense of hopelessness. And we see it now proliferated in the midst of a pandemic. You know, we have to understand that the psyche of a man, which supports his manhood and him being who he is his ability to provide for his family and those who are in his care. And in the absence of being unable to do that, there's a sense of one being despondent. There's a sense of one not being able to live up to the cultural expectations of what it is that they're supposed to do in terms of being a provider in their home, for their children, for their spouse, their significant other. And we know that could be as serious as paying a mortgage to as simple as buying weave for my girl and making sure she could get her nails done. That is a real issue in this country, Shanique. And, I really wouldn't harp on the fact that the commission may or may not have said the right thing, or may not have said it, may or may not have said it the right way.
You think the bigger issue is still in the room?
Yeah, the bigger issue is there. And fortunately and unfortunately, it is now brought it to the front. We see our friends. I'm not a psychologist. I'm a social development worker. A clergy person, but working in those fields and rubbing shoulders with those professionals. In particular, my immediate past supervisor is the clinical psychologist. And so I've heard him on a number of occasions. I've heard members of the Bahamas Association of Psychologists in the Bahamas, etc., make reference to the psychological health of our nation. And we see it now, especially since the pandemic. The number of vagrants on the street, if you even just look at that, have grown exponentially. So many more persons are exhibiting what was in their mind. Now on the outside, their despondency, they're lost, they're hopeless. They don't see opportunity. And that is where, as a nation, we must begin to address the issues, providing opportunity, so that the opportunity to kill myself is not what is most profound and in my face, that there are other avenues I can provide for myself. I can seek assistance. I can, et cetera, and et cetera, et cetera. And that's what it's all about. I don't know if we need to waste time hopping on the commissioner. Okay, he's going to address that. He's responsible for what he said, et cetera. But more so now, looking at how are we going to address the psychological health of our nation and bring people to a place where they can take advantage and make resort otherwise versus killing themselves. It's really
part of the fallout, Glenroy, and this is a part of the fallout really being experienced around the world. The fallout meaning now sort of the mental health toll of this pandemic that's almost a year old, in certainly in this part of the world. Your thoughts on what the commissioner said? Do we need to move on? Is it something to be explored? Is it something that's a Bahamian mindset that must be changed? Like, man up, man, what's up? You know what I mean? You go up and you can't handle your affairs?
Yeah. Again, good afternoon, everybody. The truth is that the commissioner's statement was out of place. They were wrong. They were insensitive, and the damage was done. At the same time now, I would say this. because a lot of people harping on the commissioner. We have a society that is informing his mindset. And that society has fostered that type of thinking. You believe you me. He's not the only person that thinks that way.
Yeah.
And the reality of it is that this level of bravado that is in our society is based on the reality that you have to display this level of bravado to show
that men ought to. And it's even, and Glenn, you're right, because it's even now seeping into women. Like, girl, you can't handle that. Oh, girl, you ain't over that yet. What is that in this country?
That's a false sense of bravado. And the reality is that we are all finding ourselves in scenarios that can put us in a weakened state. But that isn't the reality of why a person kills themselves. All right. When somebody is in a place that is not even to be able to think mentally and all the other stuff, they cannot make a rational decision on whether or not it's good or bad or weak or whatever to take their own lives. They are in a place that is dark. That is a place that is, the depression and all that other stuff. There's no right thinking process in that whole process. That's not weakness. That's just a reality of life. And so sometimes we have to be sensitive. But I speak to the larger point. If there's any good that comes out of this, the reality of it, having the conversation is that it now brings to light the mindset that informs the people that are in leadership and those of us who walk around daily. Again, I say, a lot of people try to reduce the commissioner based on this comment. We can't reduce a man based on a stupid statement. That doesn't mean that he's incapable of doing his job. That doesn't mean that he's not a good cop. Let's be fair. We all have made mistakes. We've all said dumb and stupid things. All right. So we all have to be fair in that reality. But at the same time, like I said, this now gives us an opportunity to divulge ourselves into the realities that what is informing our men to think the way they're thinking, so that we could correct these thought process. Now the commissioner recognizes that the thought process that he has is something that is not generally widely accepted. And so now this is an opportunity for him to change. And I pray to God that this is an opportunity for many of us, or many of those of them who have the same mindset, to think about the way they think as well.
Just a few comments coming in before we go to that troubling video. 8 minutes, in fact, from the allegedly from the Children's Emergency Hostel. We'll talk about that. In fact, it's not only gotten local attention and an outcry, it's gotten international attention as well. We'll jump there in a second, but just 1 or 2 comments. Judith Mills says Paul's apology was weak. Karen Barr says that was indeed in his heart. That's why he said it. The Bible says out of the heart, the mouth speaks. However, he should have had a better choice of words. It's due to a lack of training. Hello to you, Dolores Robinson. Ted, we're going to get to those issues right now. Inga Vashti Plum says he needs to think before he speaks. No excuses, sir. Stephanie McPhee says, you know his heart, but you also quoted from the Bible, which confirms that a man thinks and so is he, just as he thinks and speaks. Karen Barr says, exactly, Mr. Cooper. He simply said what he felt. Most people have his notion, especially in this country. We have a habit of, man, you ain't over that yet? What happened? And it's even towards women, so man, get over it, man. Let me just get to 1 or 2 more comments. Portia Newton says, everyone should be careful what comes out of their mouths because a lot of people are suffering and some of them feel that suicide is the only way they can get out of whatever the situation is. And that is Portia Newton, an educator in Florida. And so she shared before about so many things she has noticed in terms of her students, etc. Dolores Robinson says, we need to pray for our men in the Bahamas. It's not easy now with what's going on. And so again, the outcry has come from so many people. Hello to you, Joylyn Henfield in Turks and Caicos. Hello, Annette Roll. Good to have you streaming live as well. Guys, listen, that video and the beating, this is another thing that's ingrained in our country, and a number of people saying time out for us punishing that way, or is it the fact that Mandy is sure and rude? I read one of these comments. He's sure and rude. You see the U.S. come. Let's discipline these children. You all saw the videos. Glenn Roy, let's jump on you first. Hear your thoughts about the fact that the video and the frames of these kids being whipped. We don't know what it is. We don't know why, what brought it on. But does anything warrant what you saw or read?
Let me first say this. I'm a believer in corporal punishment. I believe that people should be disciplined. That's just my personal view. But that doesn't mean that I support abuse of any kind when it comes to children. That is a hell no for me. I can't even watch situations like that unfolding in front of me. I couldn't bring myself to watching a video. Anytime somebody send those videos around, I don't ever open them up because those type of videos enrage me. We in this country have to do better as relates to protecting these little children that are amongst us. When it's talking about physical abuse, sexual abuse, and all types of abuse that these young children find themselves having to receive every day. The verbal abuse, a lot of people who are having children, quite frankly, don't have a right to have children. They should not even be having children. You know, and if you cannot bring and raise a child up in this world properly, don't have them. I mean, there are other protections that you can afford, or even if you can't afford it, ask somebody. I mean, doggone it, you cannot bring children into this world and subject them to the kind of abuse.
And treat them like animals. You're right. You're absolutely right.
And in that situation as well, that's something that needs to be heavily investigated and disciplined on the highest level that needs to transpire to those individuals. It should never happen. At the same time, we need to also find ways to better raise our children so that their decisions and all the other stuff doesn't impact them in ways that they're being impacted. Because let's face it, as reality, children do silly things. You know, having four myself, I recognize that fact. And so as a parent, it is your responsibility to rear them, guide them, and train them properly. Now, when you take those elements out of it, you are now fostering an environment that you have to deal with children that are unruly and misbehave. And then they become adults, and then they become criminals. So we all have a part to play in this, but the cycle needs to stop. But adults need to adult up, be responsible, and take care of your responsibility.
You know, Darren, your thoughts when you saw it, or you read the article, the fact that if it is indeed the Children's Emergency Hostel that's being reported, that those kids are from 12 months, according to what is being put out there, 12 months to age 12. And to see how they were manhandled and others watching, standing off watching, or even sometimes you don't want to get involved, but others who were happy, not happy, laughing at what was taking place. Do you think anything warrants that kind of abuse, that kind of like physical assault, and then to look at you know, these are big grown women on these boys?
Shanique, I did not watch the full video. I'm one that I cannot take those type of things. It just the first part of it did a number to me. I believe firmly in rear the child. I mean, rear the child in the way they should go, and when they're old, they won't depart. I believe in capital. I mean, I believe in discipline. I have two kids of my own, and I believe that when they are in error and they're wrong, there's certain type of discipline that I use. I'm very cautious in the way that I do discipline them. And what I saw in the earlier part of the video broke my heart. One, these are not heavy set kids that could take the type of chafing these kids were given. My first question was, what did they do that was so drastic in the way that it was done? And then two, you know, I've worked, and I'll tell you, I've worked for the Grand Bahama Children's Home for many years, for some years. And these children come with all type of circumstances, or come from all type of issues, and they're going through a lot. And what they are looking for is love, not so much the capital punishment. And that's what I saw when I saw that video. And then to see the size of the one that's given the punishment.
Yeah, and with a cane. Imagine the brunt, like
but I couldn't even tell if it was a cane or what it was. All I knew was to see the way that these kids were skipping and dancing and going through broke my heart. And for me, I would like to in turn be the one giving those adults what they gave those kids, to see how they would be able to bear the brunt of it. And I cry, shame on them. I do not support what I saw in the first portion of that video. And it is a crying shame. And guess what? This happens on a regular. It's just out there now. And so you can imagine what these kids are going through. And that's why they come with so much anger, hate, and malice in their hearts, because one, mommy, daddy neglect me, or I'm in a home and now I am being abused by the people who should be protecting me. And so I, one, did not support or even agree on what I saw in that video.
When we come back, we're going to hear from Bishop Walter Hanschel and also John Darville on their thoughts. And then also, is this a Bahamian sort of way of life? This is how traditionally and generally speaking, we've been reared that way. I've seen comments saying, man, you know, we used to get cut up and put our ears and stuff. But the thing is this a thing that's outdated, not discipline of children, but this beating, this severe beating that's going to teach them a lesson, etc. Of course, this we saw the video, so it's not alleged. The video proves it. It's alleged to have happened at the Children's Emergency Hostel. The Minister of Social Services, Frankie Campbell, says an in-depth, Darren, in your word, investigation is underway. And so we await the findings of that investigation. We will get the response, though. Why is it that we resort to such brutality when we come to disciplining our children in this country still in 2021? If that video was taken, but it certainly still happens. We're going to take a quick break and come back with more of the conversation after this.
Get ready. It's the sound of rain. Living Waters Kingdom Ministries presents Fresh Rain Revival 2021. You don't want to miss 3 days of anointed, power-packed services as Apostle Raymond Wells delivers an on-time word to position the saints for rain in 2021. Join us January 19th, 20th, and 21st, 12 p.m. at Living Waters Kingdom Ministries, Warren Street. You don't want to miss the rain.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation. It's great to have you all here. We're going to get the feedback from John Darville and Bishop Walter Hanschel in a second on those the brutal beatings we've seen. We've read the article. In fact, it's really gone international. A number of people are looking on to see exactly what is the Bahamas government going to do about this, or the authorities going to do about the video. It's really sparked a lot of outrage. Here are some comments coming in from the live feed. Judith Mills says, me too, Glenroy. Those videos make me angry and I don't watch them. Nayoka Hanna says, those beatings were not warranted, especially that woman who was in the wheelchair. Why? Philippa Newton says, if the kids were taken from their parents because of abuse, how is this different? And that's another thing, John, to pick up on that point right here. Let me just get Pauline Cooper's comments. She would have breached her contract at home. You are not to physically punish children. That's another thing. Like, what is the discipline sort of guidelines in these group homes? And the thing is, just like Philippa says, if the kids were taken, these kids were abandoned, abused, and who knows what else, and to now go there and have to be faced with that. And again, I think somebody said somewhere I saw in passing, it's probably not the first time.
Yeah, Shanique, my first thought is, looking even beyond the act itself, while so many things could be said about it, culturally, we know that physical punishment, corporal punishment is something that is practiced widely in our culture. I could tell you the times I get cut up too, I ain't dead, right? But, then again.
And no, that's the saying, man, that beat me, hey.
Right. But then in the same token, my mom, or my grandmother or my uncle, they didn't do it to kill me. And it was a particular place where I was spanked, and the number of licks, etc. I mean, all those things should be considered. But for me, Shanique, as a public administration professional, my mind goes right to the foundation of public policy and the responsibility of the government of the Bahamas and its agency, which has carriage for this, to provide the proper monitoring and evaluation mechanism to ensure that children that are experiencing this kind of trauma have a place or avenue by which they can express how they're being treated, and of course that being monitored and dealt with when it doesn't meet the appropriate measure, right? And so the first thing that comes to my mind, what's the role and responsibility of these women in the home? What's their level of qualification? How
Yes.
were they trained and equipped to be able to facilitate the needs of these children in these homes? Again, this speaks to the quality of life of a Bahamian, all right, that's being now as a ward of the state, as a child belonging to all of us essentially, right? How are they now poised to exit that home and to live, move, breathe, exist, and have their very being as a stable, well-rounded, competent child who has been saved from abuse, who has been saved from being left alone or whatever the issue is that has them in the home, right? And so the responsibility now of the director of social services, right? That is the officer of the government with responsibility, is to launch a formal investigation into that matter and really rethink and re-engineer how those homes are managed, how those children are cared for, right? There should be a proper counseling psychologist there to be able to address issues of discipline, which go beyond spanking, and that trained person knows very well how it should be done, and so for me, Shanique, when I see stuff like this, now outing, being exposed, that's the first thing that goes to my mind. The level of training of the persons there responsible and the public policy around these kind of matters and how they should be addressed and dealt with. Very important.
Kenneth Davis Hepburn says, my youngest son has a scar on his lip from preschool. A teacher was abusing him. The initial sign was he always cried when I dropped him off to school until he finally said what she was doing. Jacqueline Hannah says, there's another punishment or other kinds of punishment you could give kids, not just physical punishment. Bishop Hanschel, even we do this even with verbal abuse, and sometimes the verbal abuse punches or is just as hard or harsh as the physical abuse that we saw. How can we get beyond these draconian measures without, many people are concerned, without sort of loosening or moving away from disciplining a child or children?
Well, Shanique, let me say that I concur with John, Darren, and Glenroy on what they've said, their views. I believe that, as you mentioned, that this does not require a long investigation because the video is there to show exactly what has happened. With regards to the verbal abuse, before I look at the verbal abuse, let me say that the persons who did those acts of abuse against those children, they should be made accountable as soon as possible. As a matter of fact, by now they should have already been relieved of their jobs. That's the first punishment, and then there should be some form. I don't know if there's something that needs to go to court, but we need to set an example because this is widespread in our country. This is widespread, and we must fix this. Now, with regards to the verbal abuse, I believe that when people verbally abuse others, it's a sign that they don't love their own selves. Because and we should not tolerate verbal abuse. If somebody is verbally abusing a child or even an adult, they should stand up. They should not tolerate. Even if a boss verbally abuses his staff, that should not be tolerated. That staff should have the strength and the wisdom to speak out and say, I'm not going to tolerate this. You can't speak to me like this. I'm human just like you. I have rights just like you. I have feelings just like you. And not allow people to abuse them verbally. I would never allow anybody, I don't care what position you have, I don't care what title you have, I would not allow anybody ever to abuse me, my family, my staff, anybody. I would not tolerate it. See, I don't do it. I don't practice verbal abuse, so I don't tolerate it. I have no tolerance for verbal abuse. I believe we have to be kind, we have to show love, we have to talk. The Bible says a soft word turns away wrath. There's no reason yeah, there's no reason to be so abusive and so cold and so hurtful and so spiteful. There's a lot of hate in this country, a lot of hate, and we need to. I believe it begins in the home. I believe the problem begins with the parents. The parents are struggling, they're hurting, and they take out their struggles on their children and on their neighbors and on their friends and on their families. So we need counseling. People need counseling, people need deliverance, but they need help. And I think the church could do more. The church could have seminars and training people how to deal with conflict and so that they can know how to react, how to talk to people. We need to train people. But this
and get over this national anger and this national hatred.
Yes. Yeah. What we need to do, we need a national conflict resolution classes. We need national parenting classes. National. I'm talking about every home, touching every home. But the only time that people get help or people tend to get any type of treatment is when the court demands it. We need to go beyond that now. We need a national program for everybody. Get everybody on one accord. Get every church involved. One program that every church could teach. The church is the bedrock of our society. So if the church opens this door rather than closing down every day, open the doors and have community meetings and let people come together and teach them how to react with the community. Bring in some professionals, bring in the counselors, bring in the doctors, and have them do seminars, and let's try to help our people.
Yes, sir. As we shift gears to the state of the nation, and I can tell you this, Bishop Hanchel, last week a number of things were brought up, a number of areas, and I'm sure you have your own concerns about what the state of the nation presently is, particularly as we look at another election that's coming up. Many people feel as though leadership is missing to empower people. That was brought up in this portion of the discussion. Bahamians need to, do Bahamians know what they need in order to help steer this country forward? Also, mindset was a number of things, another area brought up, another topic. Mindset, expansion of resources, the natural resources discussion is out there. The Natural Resources Committee, in fact, members of that committee are in Andros as we speak. I think they return tomorrow to do site inspections. I think that's what it is they're doing. And so we're going to talk about that in the remaining time that we have, about the state of this nation in 2021. Where do Bahamians fit in where the country is right now and moving forward? Let me just get to Bishop Hanchel. You appear to be itching to get, so I'll let you have the first go at it. 1 second, let me just get to one or two comments. Margaret DeVoe says, that video angered me. Those children were put in the trusted care of the state, and to be abused and traumatize them like they're criminals. They tagged team on those children. Yeah, it's very, very, very unfortunate. Nayoka Hanna says, Mr. Glenroy Pratt, you're right. I was very upset about that video. It caused me to remember how I used to get beating. Trust me, I would have retaliated on the people who were giving the beating. She says, honestly, I couldn't sleep last night because my heart was crushed. Gano Davis Hepburn says, hence, that video bothered me. Kayla Roll says, it's not what you do, but how you do it. Miss Miller, I agree with you. Those kids were manhandled. Yeah, because you see, those ladies were pretty strong. And, you know, Karen Barr says, oh my God, I would have gone to jail as a parent. I'm figuring she's speaking. Gano says, Karen, and every day she played the nice teacher. That is the teacher who allegedly abused her son. Shay King says this is powerful. Yeah, just a number of trending stories that have grabbed international attention, even that really showing us up as a nation as we look, Bishop Hanchel, in 2021. An election is roughly a year away. Where and what, in your opinion, is the state of the Bahamas?
In my view, the Bahamas is in a state of chaos, in a state of confusion. And it begins, like John Maxwell says, everything rises and falls on leadership. Yeah, and you know, I listened to all of the other guests, and I feel their heart and their pain as to what is happening throughout our country. And I'm on the ground, as you know, and I see men, grown men, crying, weeping. I mean, tears that some of y'all probably might never experience seeing a man do, simply because they cannot provide a meal for their children, a roof over their head. We have so many mothers right now, and I just want to talk about some of the social problems before we look at the big picture. But right now, we have the Bahamas is in a state of disarray. We have mothers. I've met mothers who are living on the beach with their children in a car because they got evicted out of their homes. These things are real. This is happening every day. I've seen mothers living in abandoned buildings with their children. Fathers.
This is all since, and I know this has been ongoing, but I'm talking, has it been an uptick in this whole COVID season?
Yes, it has gotten worse. Matter of fact, it was bad before COVID. COVID has made it that much worse because people have no jobs, they have no money. People are just in survival mode, and we have so many people who are not affected, who are living normal lives. Their whole life has been changed, and everything is so uncertain. They don't know what to do. They don't know if they're going to ever get a job back. They don't know how they're going to take care of their family. They can't pay their bills, and this is where we are. So the Bahamian people is in a desperate state right now. We are in a national crisis, and it doesn't look good looking at the hotels, looking at the tourism economy. It doesn't look good because people are not going to come because of what's happening in the US and in Canada and in Europe. People are not going to travel like they used to, like we expect them to do. So the government needs to find some other ways to take care of this country, to provide jobs, to stimulate this economy. They need other ways, they need other ideas, but nothing much has come up. And so I believe what we need. Maybe they did their best. Maybe they did their best. But I think who is the they? The they. I mean, I'm speaking about the leaders of the government leaders, the FNM. The FNM is responsible for the government. I'm not putting all the blame on them because it's not just them.
I'll tell you this, Bishop Anchel, and I saw you recently did a post and say that you voted for this administration and you regret doing so. What was that statement about?
Well, disappointment. When the FNM came to power, I had very high hopes that things would get better. I know most of the parliamentarians. I know most of them personally. And I had very high hopes that they would do a better job with dealing with people. They have become so arrogant. They have become so indifferent. It's as though they don't understand what the people are going through.
What it is that you see, what you see on a daily basis.
Yeah, I don't see much compassion. I don't see much concern. Now, one or two of them are doing a good job, are doing their best, but those at the top are not. I can tell you, they are not. It's difficult to, you see, if you don't, in order for you to help somebody, you got to have compassion for them. You got to feel for them. You got to feel what they're going through. You got to know what they're going through. And I don't think the government has the type of compassion that is needed to turn this country around, to help the people. The people are suffering. I mean, terribly.
Wow. You know, obviously, I'm going to have to reconvene this panel of men who all are experts in their various way. For those who don't know you and your background, I call you Bishop Anchel. Yes, that's what you are, a pastor, bishop, etc. But you have been running now for many decades, one of the largest feeding, clothing programs, and perhaps even more than that. But I certainly know about the feeding and clothing part of it. Outreach program for decades. for decades where hundreds go to daily on a weekly basis, hundreds, if not thousands pour in, and I'm sure the numbers have increased. And so you speak based on that, that you have been watching now just evolve, develop, increase, etc. for quite a number of years, and I'm sure even recently. I think I want to have you gentlemen on again, but as we move on, Stephanie McPhee in Italy says the country seems to be in a state of hopelessness. Not many jobs, political confusion, and global pandemic. Nyoka says, reality, sir, it's reality. Let's just see, Karen Barr says, yes, Bishop, you're speaking the truth. Gano Devasebern says, yeah, Bishop, it's true, Bishop Hanchel. Lorraine Mott says, no disrespect, they did a bad job. Stephanie McPhee again says, the best thing for the nation to do is to stand still and go on a nationwide fast. Go back to God. The spiritual leaders are responsible too, because they should be the examples in helping and supporting their members spiritually, meaning helping people have a spiritual grounding and foundation, she says. Agnes Santilla says, what could these poor little children have done to deserve, she's talking about the beating, such treatment? Nothing, in my opinion. Maybe they were hungry and probably stole some bread and was manhandled for that. Worthless adults. John, your thoughts about maybe some of the things, Bishop, well, no, I want Glenroy to jump in first. Glenroy, you heard Bishop Hanchel. He says, listen, the country is in a state of confusion. The country has a number of issues going on. He also lays a lot of the blame at the feet of this administration.
I heard the bishop, but I respect the bishop highly. But I don't think he also said that he lays it completely at the feet of.
I say a lot of the blame, Glenroy. You ain't get a man say the government is worthless and have no compassion. That's what he said.
Well, yeah, I disagree with that. I can't say that the government is showing no compassion. Obviously, when you are in different quarters and hearing different things, you will go with what you're hearing. And obviously, the bishop has a view based on his being on the ground and hearing from people who are hurting, and that cannot be discounted. But I'd also put that in context as well. When I look at the different ministers in government, there have been a lot of them who've been on the ground working in their constituencies, albeit they don't have a bullhorn and they don't have cameras showing what they're doing. But that doesn't mean that they're not working. I think sometimes we also have to balance our realities too in this country. For example, we always talk about the government needs to start to find ways to generate revenue or to create a new industry. But the average business takes about 7 years to generate a profit, to turn around a profit. That is a fact. And to start a new industry in a country by a government who gets most of its resources either borrowing it or paying taxes, it's a very challenging scenario. And so we all have a part to play in this. If I was to use the scripture, the Bible says that if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and turn from their wicked ways, then I will heal the land. To me, when you see crisis like this at this level, you got to look at the church. The truth, that's the truth. The truth is,
so Glenroy, as Stephanie said, the church too dropped the ball.
Listen, it's a collective scenario, but the church is the compass and the conscience of the nation. Once the church is not focused on the things of God and the focus changes, then everybody starts to follow. But I'm not going to blame the church and say the church isn't doing, because the church has been working hard. They too don't have a bullhorn. There's a collective reality that we all need to have in getting our country to a place that needs to go. When we talk about the government and the leadership of the government, governments come and go. The most consistent thing, and I've always said this, that has remained is the electorate. We, the people, we have remained in the process of of our elections. I don't care who comes in office and who goes in office. We cannot chalk everything up on a 5-year government. A part of the problem is us as a collective. We have to be responsible. When we start making money, we have to learn how to save our monies. We also need to learn how not to have too many children that we can't afford. We also have to be responsible at how we invest our monies. It's a collective responsibility. We cannot rely on others and blame others for our faults. We also have to take these opportunities and see how we can better ourselves and get ourselves out of the situation. I don't care which government we elect. I don't care which government we throw out. The reality of it is, if we as a people don't take responsibility for ourselves and the actions that we perform on a day-to-day basis, we will be right here the next day and the day after that. It's a collective responsibility. We all have to rise to the occasion.
John?
Point of order.
I totally agree to some extent as to what Glenn Roy has said. But if we were to look at the foundation of the question that's being asked in terms of responsibility and accountability for the direction we should be headed in as a nation, my measuring stick would be on the creativity of the opportunities, the programs and plans of the government. And, to a greater extent, the foundation of them is taxation. If we look at what Winston Churchill would have said, and I respect him highly as someone who is really adapted to the public administration and governance. And in his experience, he is determined that if we look at taxation as the avenue to produce the spirit of prosperity or opportunity in a nation, then we really standing in a bucket essentially and pouring water in a bucket with holes, right? And I believe that, for example, if we look at this administration, for the most part, that has been the extent of the opportunities for the people of the Bahamas in this current dispensation, and for a great extent, perhaps some other administrations as well. But we have, as a country, again, looking at what Glenn Roy says and taking on the spirit of the collective responsibility, and I made reference to this the last time we met, we have to begin to vote for the brightest and best in this country. We have to put in office people who have the wherewithal, the cognitive competence, the ability, the access to network, the experience in their professional right, etc., who could bring to bear the best opportunities for the sovereign Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
You saying stop the song and dance
This
of colors or whatever.
And see, after I said what I said last week when I said vote for the best man in your constituency, stop looking at party, vote for the best man in your constituency. I say I even take it further and I bring to accountability also our party leaders. When you go there in the name of the people of the Bahamas selecting candidates to run on your ticket, select the
best. That's true, man.
The best.
Yes, no. And it's up to us to say yes. It's up to us to say no. I don't want John because what John has done. What has John's track record been?
Listen to me. When I think of the people who serving for this country at the United Nations in Geneva, who on boards of the IDB and other doing international work. We had this young man, I think he was less than 30 years old, doing some major things in agriculture. I think he was brought in as a consultant for agriculture recently or something like that. But what I'm trying to say is the Bahamas is not short of the brightest and best that could stand up against the world, man. And I don't think we are doing due diligence as a people and forget the connection, forget the family ties, forget this one who been here a long time and they cheering who this one. Come on, man. We are failing our country. We are failing our quality of life. We are failing our ability to stand up on the world stage as a sovereign country. That's the Bahamas. Yes. And when I look at what the pandemic has done for us, for example, we got so much longitude about tourism in the world and in this region. And now that the pandemic has hit us, there is no ultra plan.
Listen to me, no second thing. You're right, it's nothing because I think it's in the papers today or yesterday about the rebound of tourism not being exactly perhaps as soon as or as return as fully enforced as it was before. And we here standing up like looking
Shanique,
around because we did not plan all these years. Yes, John.
Shanique, if we look across the road to our neighbors and what they're going through, how is it that if the injection into our tourism industry depends on what's going on in the United States and Europe, etc. How is it that we could project a fruitful fiscal period, progress and upward mobility? We can't do it if the people in Europe locking down and carrying on by because there's a super strain of the virus there. The United States can't get it under control. Any minute I expect to see President Biden lock the country down. I mean, there is a lot to be considered. But if I go back to not even counting what's going on around the world, not even looking at it, we need to take advantage of the brightest and best that our country has to offer. And again, last week I stated we have a major brain drain in this country. because the brightest and best, because your family name don't make sense, because this, that, and the next.
Because you ain't connected.
Yeah. You ain't that. You ain't this. Okay, you was a dollar, but you ain't a dollar from here. You was a Pratt, but you ain't these Pratts. You was a Miller, but you ain't them particular Millers. You know, you Cooper, yeah, you stay over there because your name never.
You stay over there,
you see, that's a problem. That's a problem. If they're the brightest and best, then they should be brought to the front, and their ideas should be heard, and they should be empowered to execute in the name of the sovereign Commonwealth of the Bahamas. It's the Bahamas.
You're absolutely right.
You're
absolutely, yes, that's it. We have, John, I love it. Listen, gentlemen, I can tell you this. We're gonna have to obviously continue this and make this a part 3, but perhaps in another 2 weeks or so, because Bishop Angela, I heard you trying to get in, but we really have to get Darren in and then shift, because this is so true, man. We need to stop acting as like we run in our house or something, you know? And that's from independence to now. Now, there's a few good, wonderful years in the 70s when we were constructing a nation, but I'm talking about we just been, Darren, go ahead, Darren, weigh in.
Shanique, I want to first of all agree with Bishop Angel as relates to our political parties, our leaders. The arrogance, the behavior is just unacceptable. And me too, like Bishop Angel, was a very strong card-carrying, supporting member of this government, and I'm very disappointed. And then I want to switch over and totally agree with Pastor John. Listen, you know, when he talked about finding the brightest. I'll wrap up with this. I was coming out of Sweeting Key the day, and I was talking with one of the homeowners in Deepwater Key, and he is an owner of one of the offshore banks somewhere in the world. And he said whenever his business goes through loss or going through financial challenge, one of the things they do is they look for the brightest and the youngest to put at the helm, and them who are older step behind and lend support. And that's what I've been seeing, and I've been trying to say, even as it relates to leading to this next year election. We still have old guards who are fighting to be in the forefront. You didn't do nothing when you were there 10 years ago. You didn't do nothing when while you was in opposition, but now you're fighting to get back. Why? Because you need to get back into the cookie jar, or you need to get back into the pocket of the purse of the government. And what we need now is we need a shift. Not political support of this party, that party, but the brightest of the brightest to get us out of what we are in as a country, and to begin to create innovation and ideas that will begin to empower all of us. And so I totally agree. This is what we need, and we need to embrace it. And totally agree. If the party ain't bringing the best, it make no sense. You come to my house.
Wow, listen, gentlemen, who is that? Gentlemen, let me tell you something, it's 5 o'clock. I want to tell you this, I promise, and I will give each of you advance notice. This conversation as we go toward election 2022 has to continue. It's also going to continue with politicians or aspiring candidates as well. And so I ask each of you to continue to avail yourselves, because this kind of conversation, this kind of discussion is important, as we also responsible, all of us, everybody who's a part of the electorate, to framing this nation. It's not just the men and women that we vote for. We have to kind of sort of say, hey, these are the policies, these are the ideals, this is what we want to see happen and develop in our country, or build on, expand it on in our country. So it certainly is us. I thank each of you very much, Bishop Walter Hanchel, Darren Cooper, Glenroy Pratt, also John Darville. I thank each of you. I hope I didn't leave anybody out. I thank you. Yes, I will, Pauline. I certainly will bring them back, because this is Karen, this tea too hot. I have to bring them back in another 2 weeks so I can give them advance notice. They each are extremely busy. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, don't go anywhere, guys, because if you intend, again, to be a key player and determining the direction this country takes, you also going to have to be healthy to do so. It's no getting around that, guys. It's no getting around that. You're going to have an opportunity for a free opportunity from the Cleveland Clinic Hospital in Florida to be able to get some wonderful tips and wonderful ideas to make this year and beyond your healthiest. Stay exactly where you are. When we come back, we will have the folks from Cleveland Clinic and some local partners right here.
Therapeutic Natural Health Spa. Take the stress away. Try one of our Swedish massages, have a facial, or get a detox. A colonic will get you started for a detoxification or a cleanse. Come and speak with one of our professionals today. We are located on 7th Terrace West in Seville. Call us at 393-1126. That's Therapeutic Natural Health Spa, the place to relax your mind, body, and soul.
Maybe it's for the thrill, or the scenery, or maybe you do it for the speed, or maybe it's for the baby. It might just be for the next stop, or even for the beautiful moments. Whatever your reason for driving, we'll be there to keep you going. Atura Auto, servicing your vehicle at a price that keeps your pockets happy. Call us today.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation. By the way, Therapeutic Natural Health Spa has a wonderful, wonderful set of great packages for Valentine's Day. You certainly want to call now and book a couples massage, or perhaps you'll be trained to be able to know how to perform a massage. They do all of that. And so certainly give them a call, 393-1126. Thank you all very, very much. And of course, all the wonderful sponsors who are on the page, as well as sponsors who are on the show. Certainly, of course, patronize them and let them know you heard it right here on the conversation. Thank you very much. Yes, John, thank you so much. I will see you all in about 2 weeks as we pick up this conversation and even take it further and explore further. Thank you. Thank each of you very, very much. Welcome with me my guests from Cleveland Clinic Hospital. They are putting on very graciously a free webinar on Saturday entitled Healthy Habits. And who knows better, when you see a medical facility pushing for you to be healthy, then you know it's something you must pay attention to. And these are people who are quite just open, not selfish at all, and looking out for your best interest. We're going to find out more about that, and also find out exactly where you get on, where you log on, and how you'll be able to access this information. Welcome to the conversation. It's so wonderful to have you. I see Diane Phillips. Diane, if you can do me the favor. Diane, can you hear me? Can you hear me at all?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Okay, awesome. Good afternoon to you. It's wonderful seeing you.
Great to see you. I haven't seen you for the new year, but I noticed that you're wearing your pearls and we all wore our pearls.
Listen, I heard today is Wear Your Pearls Day. Well, we're not going to get into that and what that's about, but yes, absolutely. And it's, again, great seeing you, Diane, and good to see you looking well and doing well. Please introduce our other guest for me. I have the names, but I don't have it right in front of me. But as we talk about and let Bahamians know how Cleveland Clinic Hospital, an institution that is not a stranger here in the Bahamas, but they're reaching out to give back on Saturday.
And you know that so well, Shanique, because we've talked with you so many times and you've been such a great supporter. So we thank you for that. What's happened is that Cleveland Clinic, in addition to the the webinar that we're going to talk about today, has been reaching out for a couple of years, more deliberately, with greater effort than ever before, to unite with Bahamian doctors, say, how can we support you? We know that you have patients at home and you just need that extra little bit that we've got. So we're not in competition, we're in support of and in partnership with. And that has worked so well. And I think believe this is the fourth webinar or seminar that we've had. We've had hundreds of people attend. And what's interesting about this one is that instead of focusing on a particular disease or condition or syndrome, we're focusing on lifestyle, healthy habits. So it's not just a matter of saying, everybody's trying to lose weight and, you want to get fit, et cetera. So the experts that we have, we're going to tell you exactly how to do it. Because setting a goal is not saying, I want to lose weight. It's something specific, like I want to lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks, or I want to lose 3 pounds in 3 months, whatever it happens to be. You have to be specific. You know that. So with us today, we have Dr. Gabrielle Gavrilescu. Somebody asked me to say that 5 times in a row this morning. I didn't quite make it, but Dr. Gavrilescu comes with a long litany of credentials. To sum it up, he's chair of internal medicine at Cleveland Clinic, Florida. He has so much valuable information about how your health and your habits impact diabetes, hypertension,
all of that.
Things that will change your life. So we want to give him a chance to speak, and he's going to speak at the webinar on Saturday, which is free. Starts at 10 in the morning. And you know the great Craig Joaquin. He's going to show us how to work out and why, and more importantly, tell us why to work out, how exercise fits in with all of this. And then Dr. Susan Lockhart Williams, who among other things is a member, one of the few female members of the, female fellows of, I'm going to say this incorrectly, but it's Royal Board of Surgeons or something like that, based in Edinburgh. And she is originally, I believe she's originally from Trinidad. She's been in the Bahamas forever and ever. She was at PMH before, but she also tells a fascinating story. What I love about it is the way that they tie in the facts with the reality, and you have to face the reality if you have bad health habits, and healthy habits, you're going to pay the price later. You may devour that piece of guava duff right now, or that fried chicken that just tastes so good. But you know what? If that's your habit and you go down the road with that, you're gonna pay for it later. So I would love for Dr. Gavrilescu to say a few words and tell us a little bit about what he's going to be talking about on Saturday morning.
Dr. Gabrielle, welcome to the conversation. Of course, Dr. Gabrielle, and I'm calling you because the last name I will not try and attempt, represents Cleveland Clinic Hospital in Florida, and he is going to be a part of the free webinar on Saturday. You know, Dr. Gabrielle, more and more, and I'm happy to see doctors doing it, doctors are embracing the message and sort of this crusade of letting their patients know, listen, you either could take all this medication or you can decide you're going to change what's at the end of your fork and develop healthy habits. Welcome to the show, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shanique. Thank you for the introduction, Diane. By the way, the name was pronounced perfectly, but you can call me Dr. G or can call me Gabe. I'm pretty open, and I think that's just a name, and I do understand that my name is not so user-friendly. So I miss being in Bahamas. I think we met before when I was there for other lectures, and to some extent I talk also with my patients a lot. I have many patients in Nassau, in Freeport, and Abaco. So I connect with them now virtually, and I tell them many times that this is the silver lining of the COVID pandemic, that allows us to open new lines of communication, allows us to connect, like with your show, Shanique, and I really, again, appreciate for your invitation. These are new pathways that we have to explore with our patients beyond our traditional media. So I am very grateful for the opportunity to talk with you here, and I'm looking forward to the webinar on Saturday. I will talk about wellness on Saturday, and we'll talk about prevention. I'm a medical doctor, and of course we have a prescription pad in our pocket or on our computer, but many times a lot more good can be done before we end up we reach to the prescription pad. We can prevent. So I think prevention is much more important than treatment, and by prevention we will talk about maintaining a healthy weight, but also about exercise. And I will try to change the angle a little bit, and I will try not to frequently people start to feel guilty for being overweight. I don't think it's a choice to be overweight or being obese. And it's certainly something that can be changed, but it's a metabolic process, and it's a medical condition like any other medical condition, like hypertension, like depression, like high cholesterol. And we may almost should change the frame from talking about the numbers, trying to talk about how to prevent the cardiovascular risk that goes hand in hand.
Or reverse, Dr. Gabriel?
I'm sorry?
Or reverse it.
Or to reverse it, absolutely. So I think the tools are in our hand or in our patient's hand. And personally, I lost at some point 70 pounds in my life, and I can share that with you now. It was not easy, but I had to find the motivation. So the first goal was to identify our motivation to what is driving us. Some people say, well, I want to see my grandkids. I was in my 20s. I didn't have any grandkids at that point coming in my way. So I found something. Well, I'm a physician and I'm trying to tell people to live a healthy life. I cannot, if I have a body mass index of 32, I cannot come and preach something that I don't really follow. I feel that my advice would be digested in a better way if I do it. So that was my motivation. And then when I started doing by watching what I eat, of course, following some healthy guidelines, but I found a way to be true to myself by monitoring weight every day. So every day since then, and I'm talking 15 years ago, I monitor my weight, and I think about my morning weight, and that is my drive throughout the day and throughout the week to maintain a healthy, within healthy parameter. I'm not saying that I don't eat hamburgers or I don't drink a beer every now and then, absolutely, but we are trying to keep everything in moderation.
Right, exactly. And when you've been talking about weight now for at least a good 3 to 5 minutes, how important is waist size? I know you have patients here, you are no stranger to the Bahamas. You see our numbers in terms of obesity rate around the world. And as a result of the obesity rate, a number of things are attached to them. Things that can be reversed if we all do, as you are saying, as Saturday's webinar is talking about healthy habits. How important is waist size when you talk about getting rid of, turning your health around, or even preventing?
Yes, certainly. The waist size is another metric that we use beside the weight, height, and the body mass index. We have also tables of our waist size that should be within certain parameters for a certain height. So definitely the waist size is also a readily available measurement, and that can be something that anybody can do at home with a simple measurement done every day, basically. Personally, I think the weight is a more direct marker, and we would be surprised to see the fluctuations of weight that are depending on the choices of our diet from the day before. So I think that is a way that has a more granular impact and a more granular image of our prior day dietary habits and allowing us to understand our body better. Some people can have a hamburger and gain 2 pounds, honestly. Some people can just have a hamburger and don't gain anything. Like my brother-in-law, he can eat like 3 hamburgers and nothing happens. I just look at his food and I am 2 pounds more. So that's I feel that that's how we can learn our metabolism, and we see, okay, if I eat this type of food, what did I did yesterday? Okay, I ate a salad or something from this restaurant and I didn't gain as much as I did last week when I ate from the other restaurant where I chose this item. So I think we'll learn how our body reacts to different types of ingredients.
Very, very true. Diane, can you please introduce the other doctor who just came in? I know she's going to be a part of Saturday's free webinar, but you're also going to tell many of you, Dolores, by the way, thank you very much. Being motivated is key, Dolores says. Nyoka and anybody else, if you have questions, now is the time, but you have to be a part of Saturday's free webinar. This way you're going to get all this information. This is where you've heard it driven, Diane, this message since last year, how our metabolic health is very important. And metabolic health consists of everything that you mentioned and Dr. Gabrielle mentioned that plagues so many Bahamians, but it goes with our immune systems being strengthened and us being healthy. to be able to, continue doing well through this COVID
We saw it
experience.
so much this year, Shanique, with
Mhm.
the comorbidities that Bahamians have, that is what caused our government and our health officials to say lockdown and to really put the clamps on the economy and keep us in a little bubble. If we had not had the serious comorbidities that we did, there would not have been such an alarm about a respiratory condition or threat like COVID. So it impacted jobs. It's one thing to think of your weight when you're thinking about how you're going to get dressed up and what you're going to look like. But think of it this way, that our physical conditions brought upon us our economic downfall that we are now trying to climb back out of. That's how serious it is. If you lost your job this year, it could be because of the physical condition that
Of the wider society.
Don't think of it that way. And so that's why Cleveland Clinic wanted to bring together these experts right after people make their New Year's resolution. And the peak day when people actually start dropping their New Year's resolutions is January 19th. So today is the 20th, Saturday is just a couple of days beyond that. And we want to capture as many people as we can before that 80% who make resolutions are gone from the resolutions configuration for the year. So I'd like to introduce Dr. Susan Williams-Lockhart, who has so many interesting things to say. You could listen to her all day long.
Dr. Lockhart, welcome to the conversation. As you jump in, I want you to talk about, I was discussing with someone today about the importance of just getting, if only a salad in a day. That's fiber, that's greens, and I don't mean, well, I wouldn't call names of certain lettuces, but the darker the better. Just as you kind of just jump into what you're going to share with us this afternoon, just talk about the importance of just greens.
Dr. Lockhart?
The importance of that. Hello, are you hearing?
Yes, we are.
Right, okay, good. Sorry about that. Listen, what happens is that we need to eat the rainbow, essentially speaking.
Yes.
We have what we call phytonutrients that are vital chemical nutrients, which are important to boost our immunity and also to help our bodies fight disease and to regulate our metabolism as well.
Yes.
All right, so phytonutrients in a salad, you have the greens, you may have some tomatoes, you may have some onions. Those are two parts of that rainbow spectrum that you need in order for you to have it. And also in addition to which, because it has fiber in it, it's filling, number one, so you don't feel as if you want to eat as much. And number two, fiber is a broom, creates a broom effect that sweeps the colon clean. And so therefore it makes your elimination movements much more regular. It takes away toxins and bacteria that were to stay in that area of the colon. They could actually cause sickness and ill health. It's not mistaking that in communities such as in India and Africa, where you have to eat from the ground because you don't have from Wendy's and other fast food outlets, their rate of diseases like colon cancer and diabetes is very low. But if you take a person who lived in that area and transplanted them, let's say, to an area in the developed world, the Western world, where fast food, within a 5-year period, their risk of developing diseases like colon cancer and other things rises tremendously. So it really has to do with environment, which impacts and affects your environment, which deals with your risk of disease and risk to health as well, you see? So fiber is very important. The other thing I'd want to mention is that fiber helps your biome. Now, this is a new concept, and probably Dr. Gabriel would probably be well-versed in this as well, too. But the concept of your biome, the bacteria in your gut is an entire universe of organisms, microorganisms.
And Dr. Lockhart, who knew that the biome was so important to overall health? That gut bacteria, who knew? Who knew that's like the core of where health comes from?
Yes, it really is, because we weren't taught that in medical school. We were just taught that, well, if you give people antibiotics, give them some yeast antifungals, because the bad bacteria and bad microorganisms are going to overpower it. But no, it is so important. As a matter of fact, studies have shown that when you look at the microbiome, not only in the gut, but also in the lungs, that when you look at the microbiome in the gut cells and in the lungs, people who have COVID have disordered numbers of the quote unquote good bacteria, the good fighters, because the microbiome is taught to train your immune system as to how to have a healthy response towards many other illnesses and diseases. So when your microbiome is not working for any reason, you are in fact at increased risk and susceptibility. And it's found that people who have diseases such as hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol, obesity, that their microbiota is not in good shape. So this is that's a new thing, but it just goes back to what your mother told you: eat the greens off your plate, please. She was a good scientist, wasn't she?
I know, right? And she said that, and she perhaps just said it, oh yeah, they should have the vegetables, but she was so right.
Right. Shanique, I'd like to, if I could, before we go back to Dr. Gabrielle, and by the way, Cleveland Clinic did one of the major studies on gut bacteria just last year, I think it was published, but I wanted to tell people how to sign up for this, because it's totally free, but you do have to register. And so you can go to events.dpa-media.com or call 394-0677. It's free, but you do have to sign up just so we can send you a link. 394-0677 between 9 and 5:30. 394-0677. And I'm showing events.dpa-media.com. I'm wondering where the @ is in there, to tell you the truth, because I would think it's events@dpa-media.com. We will check that out momentarily. I'll have my office do that. Events@DPA. Please double check. Events.dpa.
Okay, by the way, someone who is watching, please put it in there. I'm putting the number in right now as Diane tosses it back to Dr. Gabrielle.
Dr. G, back to you on gut bacteria or whatever you want to talk about.
Yes, no, I agree with Dr. Williams-Lockhart that we see that inflammation plays an important role in overall well-being. So there are the green leafy vegetables that are known to decrease the inflammation. They have a high, what we call high anti-inflammatory potential. Along with the green leafy vegetables, we have also the dark yellow vegetables, the rainbow that we're talking about. Fruit, even tea and coffee are anti-inflammatory, as opposed to what we call pro-inflammatory.
I'm happy to hear about coffee. Thank you. I love this.
Yes.
This mushroom coffee that I love.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
I'm working on it throughout the day, and I have 2 machines around me. So
yes, I love this coffee.
At the same time, the red meat, the processed meat, refined carbohydrates, and sweetened beverages are known to be inflammatory. And there is a lot of discussion about inflammation nowadays. Inflammation has a lot to do with the risk for atherosclerosis, which triggers basically strokes, heart attacks. Inflammation is linked.
Dr. Gabrielle, inflammation is primarily, I guess, fostered by just an unhealthy diet, mainly?
That is one of the components. Inflammation is a state when our body is not in a state of relaxation. Even if we sleep, there is some sort of fire brewing inside, if I may. And diet is one of the things. Lack of exercise, increased weight. Those are all what we call pro-inflammatory factors, and they all, of course, infections are short-term pro-inflammatory events if they are brief events, but underlying many of the conditions such as cardiovascular risk is the inflammation. And there is also some role for relation to cancer and inflammation. So we do need, and I'm very happy that Williams-Lockhart brought this up, because I think the inflammation is one of the elements that are triggering a lot of current pathology.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with what Dr. Gabrielle is saying, because at the end of it all, when you look at the diet that we have chosen, in the old days, we had what we call, quote unquote, the island diet or the poor man's diet, which was basically heavy on plant-based nutrition, heavy on maybe fish from the sea. You might have some red meat and processed meat. You might kill a pig or a cow maybe once in a year or twice a year. But really and truly, we're eating from the ground, eating from the earth, and your food was raw, it was unprocessed, it came from the trees. You cooked what you prepared that day. Maybe refrigeration was not and preservation was not as well applied. So you basically ate fresh every day, every 2 days. That is so different to what we do now. We eat things that are in tins and plasters and cans. And as I heard Dr. Gabriel say, I don't have a harvest a farm in my backyard. No, I started a backyard garden with herbs and some other things. And I do sometimes eat from some tins, and I may eat some packages, and I like my piece of barbecue fast food chicken every now and again. But really and truly, I'm concerned because people eat that type of food, the packaged
every day, every other day.
Every day, and you are getting salt, and these things are chemicals. And I'll tell you something, that when your body does not recognize something as being natural, it tries to pass it out. On one of the responses that it does, it wraps it in fat to protect it from the rest of the body. So that's another reason as to why it is you will find, and it slows your metabolism down, because your metabolism is really like a car engine. You know, I was coming in and I heard the tail end of that, but your metabolism is really like a car engine. And it has to do with how well your body burns the food that you take in, how well the cells of the body function to do that. And when you have a lot of additional chemicals, anything you can't pronounce, or you see it's more than 10 to 30 letters long, it's in something, you probably shouldn't be eating it.
My Lord.
And my feeling about that is when I go to the food store, Shanique, I look at the ingredients in something. If there are more than 5 ingredients, and my favorite doctor in all the world, Dr. Arlington Lightburn, told me this, if there are more than 5 ingredients, then chances are it's not that good for you.
But
So
what you buying, Diane? Because what you buying is less than 5 ingredients.
Well, if I buy broccoli, it's just got broccoli.
That's good. No, that's really good. Yeah. No,
you don't have to look at anything with any.
Lord, I tell you, guys, listen. Yes, this is super. Listen, everybody, you be on there. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything but your health. This is going to be some incredible information that's going to be given out, and you all don't take it for granted. You all have you've seen the toll it's taken on our country, just this COVID, and that's because of as Diane said, comorbidities. Okay, well, let's break that down. The obesity and the issues that come from that I have been really talking about since 2017, that's the fault, you all. And you're going to get some free information about even, man, sometimes if you can't get out to exercise, marching in place and moving your hands, all of that is considered good cardiovascular. So they're going to be talking about exercise, the different types of exercise, the fact that you could exercise right in your home. There is no excuse. The fact that when you go to the store, Diane said, if it's more than 5 ingredients, help me, Lord. What she talking about? If it's more than 5 ingredients, so the tuna, hold on now, y'all. The tuna and water in the can. What y'all saying? What y'all saying?
Not bad, but you can't eat that more than 2 to 3 times a week. And certainly you should wash it off before you eat it, you know, because it has some other things in it. It normally has tuna, water, salt, and a bit of a preservative in it, if I remember correctly.
Oh.
You know, but that's not something you eat that maybe once every 2 weeks if you have to. You know, but don't eat that every day. And this is an issue. It relates to something economically. I heard Dan talking about that. It's called food security, because people who don't have, we have an issue with that, you know, because we don't grow our food, we have to buy it. And fresh food and vegetables are very expensive. They can be. You can cheaper get a can of tuna or a can of sardines or a can of something and some bread or something sweet to eat at a cheaper price. Proteins and good food cost money.
So you're trying to say, Dr. Lockhart, so come Saturday, you can try to tell us, you know, the little thick sausage that people go and say, can I have a pound? And listen, you're trying to say, listen, hold up, y'all.
No, at least once a month, twice a month. You're going to eat something sometime. This is the Bahamas now, right? I eat a little guava duff now and again, but I cannot have that every day. I cannot have that 3 times a week. It cannot be my primary source. So this is why people have to get creative, and we're going to talk about that on Saturday. I grow bananas, you grow avocados, exchange it. I grow tomatoes, you grow green peppers. Let's exchange. Let's do a neighborhood produce market. You know, somebody could, I'm not a green farmer, but I have a pretty good crop of oregano and sage in the back. Somebody want to give me some bananas, I'll get them some. You know, but you have to find ways, because your food has to become your medicine once again. It has to do it.
It has to be. And I love when you said that, Dr. Lockhart, because we all should know food is medicine. It depends on what you're eating that you can reverse or prevent any issue from ever coming near your doorstep.
And the Department of Agriculture actually has seed packets and everything, a whole kit that you can start your own backyard garden for $10. We did it, and the stuff is blooming. We have kale, we have okra, we have arugula, $10 of seed. Now, if you were going to buy one meal to go in a not styrofoam, but the new kind of container, you'd be spending $10. So go to the Department of Agriculture and start your own little backyard garden. Just one final thing, because I know that we're going to have to go pretty soon, Shanique. You know, a lot of this fast food that Bahamians ingest on a regular basis was part of a status symbol 20 years ago when it started, 25 years ago, because the mother who left her job to pick up kids from school and was taking other kids home at the same time and could go through a drive-through at a Wendy's or a McDonald's. I'm not pointing out anyone in particular, but it was kind of a status symbol because I've got enough money to treat my kids to a burger after school and their friends to a burger after school, and then everybody's going to want to ride with me. And suddenly it became something that said what your status was in the society, that you could afford to buy this food out instead of just going home. And it's come back in some ways to haunt us. So I'm not saying never do that. You know, all those are good corporations who give generously, but watch what you do to yourself on a regular basis. It's all about the habits you create, and that's the health you get.
Absolutely, absolutely. I thank you all, Dr. Gabrielle, Dr. Lockhart, Diane Phillips. I thank each of you. Of course, Cleveland Clinic's free Healthy Habits webinar is this Saturday. Diane, give us the information again, please.
10 a.m. Go to events.dpa-media.com to sign up. It's absolutely free, but we need to send you the link. That's the only reason you have to register. Or call 394-0677. We'll be here for a few more minutes this evening, and then we'll be back in the morning at 9. So from 9 to 5:30, 394-0677. And we have had hundreds of people attend these webinars in the past and feel that they really got a lot out of it. So we hope to see all of you on Saturday. And thank you, Shanique. You look fabulous.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Gabrielle. Thank you, Dr. Lockhart. And thank you, of course, Diane. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, social media audience, all of you. Really, really awesome. Great information. Once again, the free webinar is this Saturday at 10 a.m. You see the phone numbers and the various information on the live feed. Get in on it, get the information you need, and let's be healthy together intentionally this year and beyond. You feel good, you know, if you feel good, it's just really awesome. I thank you all once again. And hey, with that, we wrap up today's show. Thank you all so much. Thank you for Cara Ellis. Thank you, Savannah Knowles. I also thank the guests for the first hour talking about national issues and discussing, giving some opinions and perspectives on some of the biggest stories today. And so with that, we wrap up today's show. Thank you all so much. Continue to stay tuned to the page, like the page, share it with a friend, set your notifications for anything that we have on there when we go live, all of that good stuff. And so see you all on Sunday Sip and Chat, and of course, the other stuff we have between now and then. Okay, have a great evening, everyone.
Bye-bye.
I need a little conversation. You need a little conversation. We can go far with the conversation. Here we should meet on the conversation.
Somebody did, like when you say a long post, I don't know who it is. I think it's people, I don't even, I think